Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never thought a single sentence could split a marriage clean down the middle, but I guess I underestimated how casually people treat loyalty these days. My name's Rowan, and until a few months ago, I thought my wife Elodie and I were solid, warm, imperfect, stubborn, but solid in all the right places. We had 4 years of shared mornings, bad jokes, half-burnt pancakes, and soft Sunday laziness. Nothing glamorous, just real. Which is why the night everything cracked felt so surreal, almost staged, like someone had swapped my wife for a stranger who wore her face. It started with her pacing the living room, phone clutched like a secret she didn't want to admit she was hiding. I was folding laundry, half listening, not wanting to pry. But her sighs were louder than usual, like she wanted me to ask. So I did. Elodie, what's going on? She stopped pacing, looked at me with this mix of guilt and defiance, then blurted, I need you to accept my friendship with my ex, or forget this marriage. Just like that. No lead-up, no soft landing. A demand wrapped like a threat. At first, I honestly thought she was joking. Some twisted attempt at drama, maybe a bad TikTok trend she'd picked up. But her face stayed stiff, jaw tight, eyes stubborn. What? Was all I could manage. He reached out, she said, almost defensively. Aiden, we were talking earlier and it felt nice, familiar. I missed having someone who understands me like that. Her words sliced cleaner than she probably expected. Not because she missed him, but because she admitted it so easily. Like the marriage she shared with me was some polite inconvenience she could set aside whenever nostalgia knocked. Elodie, I said slowly, you don't get to rebuild a bond with a man you used to sleep with and call it innocent. She lifted her chin. You're being insecure. You should trust me. Maybe trust would have been easier if the phone she clutched wasn't still lighting up with messages from him. Messages she angled away from me every time the screen buzzed. Then she snapped, louder than I'd ever heard her yell. Accept my friendship with my ex or forget this marriage. For a moment, everything in me went quiet. Not numb, not shocked, just quiet. Like clarity pulled all emotion aside and handed me a simple truth. So I replied, calm as ever, easy choice, honey. Her eyes widened. She expected a fight, a breakdown, maybe a jealous meltdown. But I wasn't giving her that. I wasn't going to beg for the privilege of being disrespected. I walked into the bedroom, packed a small bag. Nothing heavy, nothing dramatic. Just essentials, toothbrush, t-shirt, wallet. And then I waited until she fell asleep, still muttering to herself about boundaries and immaturity. By morning, I was gone. No slam of the door. No note. No goodbye. Just absence. A silence her ex couldn't fill. I drove to my sister Marlo's place across town. She handed me coffee, didn't ask a single question at first. She knows me well enough to know I talk when I'm ready. And when I finally told her, she just nodded and said, protect your peace, Ro. Some people figure out too late what they should have held on to. My phone started buzzing nonstop around 9 a.m. Elodie. Then 9:05. Elodie again. By 10 o'clock, I had 12 missed calls and nearly 30 texts. The first few were still arrogant. We need to talk. Stop being dramatic. You can't just run away because you're jealous. Then the tone shifted. Rowan, where are you? Please pick up that I didn't mean it like that. I'm scared. Are you okay? I didn't answer. I wasn't ready. By afternoon, the messages became frantic. Please come home that I can't stop crying. Talk to me. Babe, please. And then the strangest ones came. Ones that made the pit in my stomach twist. Why are you ignoring me? Don't do this, Rowan. Come back. I'm sorry. But the message that broke my patience wasn't the apology or the pleading. It was the one where she said, Aiden told me you're overreacting. He says you should grow up. That was the line that ended something in me. Because now her ex, this ghost from her past, felt comfortable enough to advise her on our marriage. That only happens when a boundary has already been crossed behind closed doors. So when she called me again that evening, voice trembling, whispering my name like a prayer, I answered, and I said the words she never expected to hear. Who are you? Her silence on the other end said everything. Her silence was deafening. I could hear her breathing, uneven, frantic, like she was trying to decide which version of me she was speaking to. The Rowan she married, or the Rowan who had finally stopped negotiating his self-respect. It's me, Rowan, she whispered finally, voice small, almost pleading. I let the words hang. No, I said slowly. I'm not sure who this is anymore. The person I knew. She doesn't seem to exist today. She sobbed quietly on the other end. I didn't say anything. Some truths are better felt in silence. I spent the evening at Marlowe's, replaying the events over and over in my head. Every scene, every tone, every demand she made. It wasn't just about Aiden. It was about her willingness to put her past above our present. And I realized that no amount of pleading or discussion would change that. I had given all I could, quietly, without drama. And still, I was treated like a negotiable option. By the next morning, her texts came in rapid succession. The "I'm sorry" and "I love you" were mixed with frantic demands and questions I didn't know answers to. Rowan, please answer. Don't leave me like this. I need you to come home. Elodie here. Talk to me. I read them all, one by one. My thumb hovered over the screen before finally typing a reply that would set the tone for the rest of this story. Who are you? The question was simple, but it carried years of disappointment, frustration, and self-preservation. It wasn't rhetorical, it was a challenge. A reminder that I was no longer participating in her narrative, not her emotional playground. Her reply came minutes later, almost desperate. It's Elodie. Don't you remember? We've been married 4 years. I laughed softly, shaking my head. I knew exactly who she was. And I also knew that the person who claimed to love me yesterday was gone. The woman on the other end of the screen was a stranger wrapped in familiarity, seeking permission to rewrite our life on her terms. Right? I typed back. And that stranger just yelled at me yesterday, told me I had to accept her ex or leave. And here you are, asking me to act like nothing happened. So again, I ask, who are you? Her silence was immediate, longer this time. Then a text. Rowan, please. I need you. I made a mistake. I didn't mean it like that. I swear. I felt nothing. Not anger, not regret, not even satisfaction. Just clarity. I had already made my choice. My peace wasn't negotiable. My respect wasn't up for debate. By the third day, she was sending voice notes, pleading with words that sounded more like fragments of guilt than genuine apology. I read each one. I didn't respond. I let them sit. I realized something profound. Love without respect is a memory, not a reality. And any person who believes they can demand loyalty while simultaneously disregarding boundaries, while expecting everything from you and giving nothing in return, doesn't deserve a second chance. That evening, I packed the last of my things, the small apartment now eerily silent. I looked at our pictures on the wall. Smiling faces frozen in time, memories I would always cherish but could no longer live in. I left them behind. I left the house behind. I left the person who had once been my everything behind. Driving down the quiet streets, I felt a strange calm. Not triumph, not vindication, just freedom. The kind of freedom that comes from finally deciding you are enough on your own. That clarity is sharper than any argument, stronger than any tears, and steadier than any love that is conditional. By mid-afternoon, her texts slowed. By evening, they were almost gone. I didn't check my phone. I didn't need to. Every notification was a tether I no longer wanted. A week later, she tried calling again. I let it ring. Twice. Then the voicemail. Rowan, please. I was wrong. I can change. We can fix this. I still love you. I played it once, just to hear her voice one last time. Then I deleted it. Because the truth was simple. The woman I had married no longer existed. The woman who demanded I accept her ex or leave had taken everything I had given for granted. And I had learned my lesson. Never trade your self-respect for someone else's nostalgia. Sometimes, love isn't about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go. And letting go doesn't feel like losing. It feels like waking up. I parked near Marlowe's, breathed in the cool evening air, and smiled faintly. The road ahead was uncertain, maybe even lonely, but it was mine. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough. Because at the end of the day, the person you can rely on is always yourself.